Good afternoon or morning, depending where you are. Dan here with Chief Experts Academy at the Designer Show. I want to welcome my host today, Brian Javeline. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody.
Cool. And Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do. I mean, we've had some discussions over the years. We got to know each other, and I know you do a lot of work with Michael Stone. You do a lot of webinars with him, and they really adopted what you talk about quite a bit. That's a little bit of what intrigued me, but also I just love what you're doing with your website, My Online Toolbox, and how you work with people and what you're doing. And when I mentioned that, Brian, let's talk a little bit about how your website helps you sell, because that's kind of what this month's topic was about. It was supposed to be anyway, but we got a lot of that in, and you came up with this title. So of the presentation today, of which, what was the title again? I don't remember.
Selling is easier when people already want you.
Exactly. If I could show you, there we go. I'll bring that up. I just brought up your screen so you can see that now. And that's really cool, because that's what websites do. And I'm sure you're going to cover a lot of this in your presentation today. But when we get into thinking about how people go about calling people, not, a homeowner wants to do a project, so they're going to call a contractor. Well, what are they going to do these days? I mean, you've talked about this before. They're going to research the heck out of it. You're going to look at your website. They're going to look at your LinkedIn. They're going to look all over the place. And ultimately, they're going to land on your website, which is going to be the place where they're going to make a decision if they want to work with you or not, or if they're going to call you or not. So why don't you kind of give us a sense of who you are, what you've been doing, how long you've been doing this, and then let's roll into your presentation. We got 60 minutes, or not anymore, but 58 more minutes, and so I know you've got a lot of content you want to cover.
Yes. Well, what I did was, I'm glad that you started that way, and Dan, because in order for me to effectively get people to the point of realizing how powerful selling could be, how easy selling could be when people want you, I need to give people a background of where I'm coming from, since too many people passively address their marketing, where they'll just look at the website as just something they do quickly, possibly Facebook quickly, or possibly email quickly, but everything tends to be a quick throwing a dart at something, not realizing that the power of marketing done correctly allows this opportunity of selling becoming easier and easier, because the demand gets driven right to you, but when you do the correct job. And what I want to do is introduce, thank you for your introduction that way, because I want to make sure people realize I'm not talking today to anybody.
Hi, Brian. You're going to get into a little bit about your background, or
I'm doing it right now. Yes,
perfect.
I start
Okay.
right in. The
Got
background. The background leads into the presentation.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, I've got your slideshow up on the screen now, so everybody can see it.
Yes.
So
my background is that people know me as more of a marketing person, but I prefer to be seen more as 30 years in marketing and a 4-time serial entrepreneur. So I approach marketing from an extreme entrepreneurial perspective. And 30 years ago, depending on the age of the people that are listening here or watching, a lot of people don't know what that picture is. But when the computers industry first came out, that's a floppy disk. That's the way they originally came out.
Oh, yeah.
And I was 20 years old, starting my first company, graduating college, learning how to market, but using the old school physical mediums as opposed to the way people view things online today. So the approach.
Brian,
yes.
On your screen, there's a little message at the bottom. Could you hit the little hide link there?
Okay.
Covers
right
up a
there.
Little, yeah, covers up a little text. There we go. Perfect.
Thank you. Well, am I good to go?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'll be interjecting like this all the time. By the way, Michael and Devin are here. Welcome, Michael and Devin. Glad you could join us today.
Wow, very cool. Hopefully they're at an airport somewhere on their way to Alaska, from the last I heard. I have a tracking device hidden on their phone. They just don't know it. They're too valuable of a resource. Need to catch them wherever they may be. But so to continue is that I'm approaching marketing technology with marketing in mind. So people need to realize that this is not just a quick discuss a quick website topic or a quick Facebook topic, but it's always marketing first. What is the technology topic second? So as I was progressing, as the years went by, I needed to start to learn how to market with no idea, no business name, no product, no customer base, and even worse, no money in the bank, and work my way up to the next steps. So as we proceeded, believe it or not, this particular ad happened to be the first leverage of having literally just a few $100s. And even though the ad is comical, it generated more than $1 million in business over a few year period getting started. Mind you, this was 30 years ago. The arms, the words on the arms changed, the word on the top of the person's head changed, but we got known as helping people solving their pain points with a very simple ad, such as a silly one such as this. And then as we started to mature, we started to then get a little bit more flamboyant in our marketing presentations as the year 2000 started to approach. Then the internet entered the world. So as we started advertising, things started to gravitate not just from the physical world, but now it started to gravitate towards the internet. And then physical trade shows, marketing person to person is completely different than using the mail or magazines or using the internet. And even taking a step further, when you work with people like I did with Guess Jeans, we started to learn how to create a value proposition where why will people spend 2 to 3 times more on a pair of jeans than another pair of jeans that they could buy, same exact material, same exact supplier, but the label created a demand for people wanting to pay 2 to 3 times more than the product is worth. So once you're learning that concept and embed it into your business model, it's amazing when the demand is coming to you rather than you're trying to sell and make people be convinced to use you. When I entered this industry, fast forward a few more years, and I entered this industry, what I learned about penetrating this particular market is it was inundated by the good old boys network, and still is. It's fading out, but it's still very powerful with who knows who. I realized it was going to take me way too much time to be able to get to the right people in order to get to the customers who deserve to be with me. So what I did was I came in through the side door and started to be featured in magazines such as Entrepreneur Magazine and Forbes Magazine. And the reason why I was doing that was that I was establishing high-level internet credibility before we even had a product. So by the time we met somebody and they started to research slowly, all of a sudden we were appearing in the rankings much higher than other people who were already in the industry. But those people that had a better product at the time were not able to be found as quick as we were being found. And this was a strategy to earn what we have right now. Like last year, I'm very happy that we were, My Online Toolbox came in through Professional Remodeler as a top 100 product. But what's really cool about this award was that, first of all, it was chosen by the market, so we didn't buy our way in. And number two, we came in at number 6 out of the top 100 products. And the coolest thing is the top 9 companies were billion-dollar companies. I'm number 6 and I'm not $1 billion, but
Wow.
it's cool. Yeah, it was cool that everyone around us was some major supplier that you may know of. And then here comes My Online Toolbox disrupting the market from helping people generate business, and the other people were product suppliers. And here we are talking to, you, Dan, and your team of customers, that we now speak to the community for very large companies, very small companies. But it was a step in progression where, yes, I'm very proud of what we do for our clients. I'm very proud of the customers, but it's great to market it where now the demand comes in, where we spend more time filtering who do we want to work with rather than who do we want to sell.
Yeah, cool. Congratulations. That's an awesome award.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
So,
And
I know you
go ahead.
work hard, so I know you earned it. So
Well, thank you very much.
There.
And now where we are today, that's the background, realizing that it's an entrepreneurial background over a 30-year period with an emphasis towards marketing leading into this particular presentation today. I do want to thank Dan in advance. He put this together rather rapidly, and it's for anyone who may not know, selling is spelled with 2 L's, not 3.
I did get that changed. You must not have grabbed the right. Someone noticed it, and I did get them all changed. So you must have grabbed that before I did that. So
well, it's a very important point, Dan. It's a great example of what occurs where too many people put stuff on the internet.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that they say, well, let me just put it there quickly and I'll get to it later, or Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or whatever it may be. As fast as you shared with me, I'm a type A, get things done on a daily basis. I wasn't waiting for you to fix one little L to move forward. And I'm sure by the time I'm done in this next 40 minutes, nobody's going to care that we had one L, considering how much they're going to learn in a short amount of time. But
that's one of those psychological things. The more L's, the more you're going to sell, right?
Well, I didn't want to bring that up. I'll let you take credit for that.
All right, cool.
But it's a good point for people to realize that when they do things, we're surrounded by a tremendous number of people who have become indoctrinated to doing things super fast without thinking about the quality. And we're going to get into it right now, but speed over time does not necessarily represent quality. And that's where people need to just take a step back and realize when you have a moment to think and strategize, long-term, your objectives will be met. Short-term, they may be perceived as being delayed, but long-term, you build the quality of what you're looking for. So what we're going to do is in today's presentation is remind people that the best leads are when someone calls and basically just says, hi, I want you to work on my house. I saw you at my neighbor's home and they loved your results and the team. We had $50K cash and we're ready to start as fast as you could show up here and discuss the project. When can you come by? Of course, we would all love to hear that. And unfortunately, it's not the reality of the world, but you can come awfully close if you market yourself correctly. And I want to remind people that when you look closely at this fantasy sentence, you have to realize that there's actually a portion that can be.
Brian, that's not necessarily fantasy. I have a good friend that's a very good contractor in Kansas. He went out to a client's house to look at a cabinet that she wanted done. And by the time he left, she wanted all of this work done. And he was super, super busy. And he says, God, I don't know if I can get into it. She wrote him a $50,000 check. She said, do you think this will get you started? So it happens.
It does. It does, and what I like to tell people is when you look at the sentence, a lot of times I tend to, because my third company, I was marketing to all 24 time zones. So I tell people, when you say hello to me, it's a very simple word, but I heard hello, hey, what's up, hola, and shalom in the same breath because it's the same topic, but depending on where you go, it could be expressed a different way. The same thing with this particular sentence. When somebody says, I saw your work, right then, now we just need to know what work are we talking about. And when they said my neighbor's home, you now know the where. Contractors have to realize they are a massive combination of who you are, what you do, and where you do it. Traditionally, people do an okay job on the who and what. They rarely do a decent job on the where. And we're going to keep going deeper into that right here. So in this presentation, with this learning how to create an environment that attracts your ideal prospects, we're going to quickly go through a few different ways to help qualify leads so they become a better sale. The 5 main topics, points today, probably going to do a few more than those 5, but the 5 main ones that I want to ensure we pass is that being 100% ready for your ideal lead that's calling right now while you're distracted listening to me and it's going to your voicemail. Enhancing your image before speaking to a prospect, marketing to be to the what and where to create demand, ensuring your website supports follow-up communications, and hiring free salespeople to bring leads to your door. Where we're going to begin is a little bit back into my main reason why I wake up in the morning is I help people with one topic: grow your business with more quality leads. The more and the quality take precedence over the word leads. Way too many people want you to feel great with statistics where look at, you had 1,000 people visited your site, but 995 were meaningless. Or maybe you got 10 leads that you bought from some lead generation service and possibly one or two might have been worth your time in the first place, but they're judging the 10 leads as a barometer to success when all I cared about was talking about the 2 leads that mattered and what happened with those 2 leads. So everything I talk about is focused on more quality, and then leads. So going back to this being 100% ready for your ideal lead that's calling next, there's going to be 2 primary ways people will initially can reach you. One is obviously the phone. And this is a little funny thing here because I got more power in my hand than people had to fly the first the Apollo out of NASA. And what's amazing is it's a phone. It's extremely powerful. And I make probably a couple of dozen return phone calls a week to people who don't know me, but they send some communication saying, please give a call to talk about whatever. It's amazing how many people answer the phone with disrespect or unprofessionalism, and they don't know who I am. So in my mind, I go to say, wait, you're going to pay me all this money and all this time to make these dream opportunities come to your front door, and you're going to answer like a child, or even worse, like an arrogant person. You have to realize that when you answer, you have to answer. When you don't recognize that number, go under the assumption it's that opportunity you've been waiting for. Hello, this is Brian of ABC Remodeling. How could I help you? Or something. But if you're busy and you're having a terrible day, and it happens to everyone, including me, let it go to voice message. And if it's going to go to voice message, take a moment as the first point to do when you hang up from this presentation today. Go call your voice message. And I'm telling you, many of you are going to have the typical that I'm sorry, this voice message box is full. Well, guess what? That opportunity was blown. Or you're going to get the welcome to 123-607, blah, blah, blah. Please leave a message. Or it could be, hello, you've reached ABC Remodeling. I'm in the field. We are in the field right now servicing other clients. Please leave a detailed message, how we could help you and where you're located, and we'll call you back really soon. Thank you. Right there, you've set yourself up to learn a lot more and in a professional way than somebody calling you up, leaving a message saying, hey, I'd like to talk to you about your services. Give me a call. So that's a starting point. Then comes the website. Let's assume it didn't come through a phone. It didn't come through a voice message. And now it's coming through your website. I want to make you be aware of a warning. The first thing is that when people come to your site, too many people like to have their email on the contact form. Please reach us at Dan at abcremodeling.com. No, you are allowing too much ambiguity in that communication. And more importantly, you're not guiding the lead to the key questions that you want to know. What's your name? What's your phone number? What's your town? What specifically can I do to help you? This is an electronic communication. And if you change your email to a contact form, at least you could guide people to the handful of key topics that matter. So when you decide to reach out to them, you could be a lot more informed about whatever it is you're talking about, as opposed to responding to a quick, hey, get back to me. It's about what you do, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Another warning, I'm sure I could have battles with people about this, but I would tell you that depending on the nature of your business, this is not 100% accurate, but it's pretty good. Be careful about soliciting a text to your phone to engage in a relationship. You're not in a speed dating service here. And what will happen is when you make it super easy for someone to text you, you now, simply by not responding quickly, are already behind the 8 ball on perception on how long it takes for you to respond. So if you make it a little bit more difficult to connect with you when you get back to them in a few minutes professionally with some information to talk about, you're going to come across much more professional. And it's very similar to me. It is very hard for you, and I don't mean this personally to anybody, it's very hard for anyone to have my cell phone in my particular case, because I simply can't do my job when I'm using the phone. I need to be taking notes. I need to be making sure that I'm able to follow through on whatever it is I talk about. So the phone for me is more of a mystery because I can communicate every which way except the texting. I do realize there's some businesses that's not applicable to, but too many people give their emails and their text numbers away, and they become a 25 by 8 day a week type of personality, and there's never a chance to regroup for 2 seconds and schedule when you're calling back people with the right timing and the right attitude to reach them back. So looking at a contact form, here's an example of one where the person, instead of having his email address, he's showing what's your name, your email, your phone, your town, your message. Many of you are hopefully busy. And if you get to the ideal situation where you're able to really be busy, what I would love you to do is get to this stage, which is what we consider to be the pinnacle of success in inbound marketing, where, and this was just changed last week, where he, in his contact section, does ask for the name, the email, the phone, and the town, but he also says he's scheduling for fall 2020. We're in the midst of 3 large projects, but are still willing to discuss your needs, provided you understand it may take a few months before we can address the issues. In some situations, we may have random availability between projects too. Thanks for your understanding in advance. How can we help you? His crappy leads or garbage leads, or whatever phrase you want to use, have been diminished. And now when people reach out to them, it's real business opportunities that he can address.
That's a great message. I like
Yes.
that.
And it works wonders. There are times that you don't want to put it there, but depending on where somebody is in their business cycle, telling somebody what you're doing in advance helps set the stage, kind of like auto reply when you're on vacation.
Yeah.
This person doesn't know you, but now his company, and we're going to get deeper into this particular example in a moment, has already set up the demand. So when he calls quicker, and he shows up quicker, he looks like the greatest person on the planet, because not only is he busy, not only is he professional, he's willing to change his schedule just for me.
Yeah.
And now
Awesome.
the prospect became feeling important.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it.
Now, so you're ready for an ideal lead. There, I can continue on that particular topic, but it would take up too much time. So I want to jump to the next one, which is enhancing your image before speaking to a prospect. Excuse me. When we say enhancing your image, we have to remember your future customer is looking for you, but we really don't know. What are they going to find when they do find you? And separately, do you honestly know whether you're really going to be found in the first place if they don't know you and they don't have any contacts and they don't know your competitors? So what I'd like to do is I'm going to end on, in the presentation in another half hour, I'll end on the will you even be found topic, because I want to first stay on the cosmetics of what will they find when you are found. The website itself, it's only a tool that we need to qualify potential buyers, but you have to realize it does do a lot of heavy lifting in the process. And what I mean by that is there's going to basically be 3 types of people out there that are going to be listening to this video either live or at a later time. There are the people that are with the times, that they play the part of the year 2020. There's a bunch of you that are in the 2020 realm, but you're kind of using stuff from many years ago and you're holding out for many different reasons. And then there's a bunch of you that literally, barring you knowing people locally, you are one step away from where that rotary phone is. So what I want to do is first focus on the small percentage of the construction industry that simply has a massive competitive advantage, because when they wake up in the morning, they're in the year 2020 and they're already thinking about where they're going to be in 2021 and 2022, but leveraging the way the world is today. Too many of you are outdated, where you know you're outdated. You're very well aware that your environment is somewhere between 3 to 5 years old. You have your many reasons on why you are living with it, but you are 3 to 5 years old. You're being punished. First of all, you're being punished by consumers who look at you, look at someone else, and the other person who may be less qualified than you, may be more expensive or less expensive, may have 100 different reasons why not to be chosen, but they're judging a book by its cover and they simply are better at marketing than you. And there's a separate silent enemy. you're being punished by a silent enemy called the browser. You need to realize that there are many people using versions of browsers, especially if they buy a new computer that comes loaded with everything new. And if you happen to have too many elements that are outdated, the browser sees the security risks and brings up this big warning sign when they land on your about to land on your page, and it says, "Whoa, this is a risky place. Are you sure you want to go there?" And remember, they don't know who you are. So think about somebody who's a little concerned or possibly has a little freak out stage that happens sooner than it should be. But the browser saying, "Do you want to continue?" And they go, "Nope, I don't accept the risk. I'll
Right.
go back and go find the next person." You will never know when that's happening. So keep that in mind, that it could be happening. And if you really have silence going on in your life, there's a good chance a big percentage of it is because people are being warned not to come to your door, which is a real scary thing.
That's true these days, isn't it? You got to really be careful with that. And if someone sees that and they go, well, gosh, if the website doesn't work, you can't be a very good contractor. So
It's just a contractor.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's I think worse than having a bad review. It's having the browser saying, "Nah, don't go there." There's a bunch of you that if you really are at that point and you've been sitting around saying, "I've been busy in the glory days," mind you, we were just in the most advantageous economic opportunity for the planet for the last 10 years. And if you're holding on, like holding that phone, you have to wake up and realize today, not next week, not next month, but today, you're that phone, you're the yellow pages, and you are one step away from having an extra 1, 2, or 3 competitors to come out that they're going to politely pull up to your place, give you this plaque and say, "Thank you for letting me take over, because rest in peace, goodbye to your business. There's no other friendlier way to say this, because you've milked it to a point where you're too close to realizing you are not allowing the 2020 crowd to say, 'Hello, I need to be able to find you.'" Everybody needs to realize there's not a person on the phone, including me, that is in the midst of a once in a lifetime economic reset. Every single person has an opportunity to excel and an opportunity to fall over and disappear. That's the way the world is happening. You want to take a moment to just think about that, to realize not a person. Whoever's ahead of you could reset. They might not do anything. Whoever's behind you might say, "This is a great opportunity to do a kangaroo jump ahead of you." Either way, remember, this is one shot in our lifetime where everybody's now paused and thinking. And I'm going to talk about that topic at the end of the presentation too, because it actually makes a good point that maybe you're this guy who is way far ahead with the newest technology. Maybe you're someone midstream who may or may not adjust, or maybe you're with that boat that was sitting there when the water went out and just simply did nothing. So the boat turned over and it's the game over. So what I want to do is now quickly keep going on a strategy. You have to remember that with your website, don't think of your website as just a website. Think of it as online marketing. You have to realize that it's the nucleus of how other topics are going to be surrounding you. And this is your brand. It's you as a brand. You are the brand. There's no way to run away from it, that these companies in this industry are very smaller businesses. We're not conglomerates, including me. Even though I like to feel like a conglomerate, I'm still a very personalized business. So everything you do creates your brand, and you don't want to gamble your brand. And you want to remember that when you're creating your brand, you don't want to rush to do it. You want to take a step back and understand the strategy of marketing. So when we put the site together, you do it correctly. Too many of you are relying on programmers to make these decisions for you. And you have to realize most programmers, not all, most are better at programming than they are at websites. They grew up in a time where everybody was willing to pay anybody anything for a website, so that people, they gravitated to a tool. But I want to keep a simple analogy, and hopefully you remember it when you leave, and hopefully the analogy is more important than my name or the company branding of My Online Toolbox. Just because you know Word over Google Docs or Google Docs over Word does not make you a writer. And I want to be clear on that, because I have this fight with people all the time. And I say, whether I write using Google Docs, Microsoft Word, or Chalk, I'm still going to post it and get thousands of people to read it because I know how to write. I know how to articulate sentences and paragraphs with a beginning and an ending and a story in between. A lot of these programmers don't. And if you're relying on your marketing based on someone's understanding of technology, all you are is a future customer of My Online Toolbox somewhere between 1 and 5 years from now, after you've lost time, after you lost money, and you're extremely frustrated because you had no results. So please don't let your programmers guide you on where your marketing strategy is going to be when many simply are not versed in marketing.
Yeah. You don't want your website to be an online brochure. I mean, whoop-de-doo.
Correct.
So.
Also, does everyone know that I can't see you, Dan, so you could make funny faces and tease me for the moment?
Oh, that's all right. We can see you. So,
Okay. It's a good point to make people be aware that you don't want to assume potential customers understand how your brand can change their lives. It's your job to educate them. And we're going to bring you through a quick process. Everything I've done in this presentation has been created in probably the last 5 days. As soon as Dan and I coordinated the time, I like to take as much fresh stuff that's going on in the industry to leverage. This particular account literally just went live. Name of the company is called Maverick Construction. And this is the way he looked for the last 3 years online. A one-page website, shows his name, shows a couple of pictures and a phone number, and that's it. Now look closely. And you tell me, what does he do? Is he a bathroom remodeler? Does he build homes? Because there's a home on the right-hand side, but there were just 8 pictures on the site, and that was it, and a name. And now, flash forward to last Friday when we went live, and when we go to his site, we see a flamboyant picture. We have a tab about us. We have their process, the services, portfolio locations, and so forth. But what I want to do is continue on to marketing to the what and where to create demand. So when we go to this website, thebuildmaverick.com, and you don't have to write this down. This is all going to be on a video later. His services are specifically targeting 4 main things that he makes the most amount of money on. Not all of his money, the most. Home remodeling, condo remodeling, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling. If you click on the kitchen remodeling page, this is a landing page highly optimized to show the best of who he is specifically in kitchen remodeling. Even though he could talk about other things, if somebody wants to talk to him about kitchen remodeling, you better have a landing page that amplifies this service as if it's the only thing you like to do, only thing you want to do, and this is where you can't wait to help this customer satisfy their desire for kitchen remodeling. You don't want to even mention bathroom remodeling. Why? The bathroom has nothing to do with the kitchen. That's just you bragging that you could work on a bathroom, but if the person wants to buy a kitchen, sell them a kitchen. Same thing goes with locations. Most people, their marketing is so terrible with locations that when you look at them online and you make believe you're me or me emulating Google, I kind of look at your address and then draw this little 3 to 5 mile radius as if you were a delivery restaurant business where you're just, you place an order for whatever and you drive in a certain terrain based on distance north and south. But the reality is you might have a town to the left of you that's 5 miles away, another town that's 15 miles away, but the 15-mile away town is much more economically advantageous than the one 5 miles away. As a matter of fact, the one 5 miles away is economically depressed, and I'm not trying to say don't target that market. I'm just making a distinguishing point, is that if you're a high-end remodeler, you obviously want the search engines to know the high-end areas that you prefer to go to and skipping the ones that you don't for whatever the reason may be. If you don't educate the search engines and don't support the potential consumer who is looking for you, you may get me from Florida saying, hey, you happen to do this particular service? Come on, get on a plane, come to sunny Florida, help me out. You don't want that type of lead. It begins with how you do your marketing on your site. So when this person gets a phone call, hello, can you come to my Coral Gables home? The marketing was combining kitchen remodeling and Coral Gables to target this particular future customer. Now, when we say ensuring your website supports follow-up communications, This particular guy would write emails just like this. This was the way he would, when he showed us an example, it basically just said to his future customer, here's your estimate. Here's the estimate. And I actually made the typo where he said, here's the estimate you asked for that we spoke about, Larry, Maverick Construction. Now, as of last week, we actually just worked with him now that his site went live. His next proposal is going to look like this. The subject is going to say kitchen remodeling proposal for your Coral Gables home. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It was a pleasure reviewing your goals. I'm happy to include a proposal for your kitchen remodeling project. The word kitchen remodeling will be hyperlinked to the kitchen remodeling page. We look forward to making your Coral Gables home even more attractive and functional. The Coral Gables will be hyperlinked to his Coral Gables page. And then we end professionally with a little bit of the URL. But when you look at that and think of an attachment there, he now, on his follow-up to his consumers, will be looking so much more professional, hopefully, than his competitors. And this is an example of going one step up where the website is helping you support your follow-up communications on whatever it may be. It could be your team, it could be your portfolio, it could be your reviews, whatever it may be. But that's the way of allowing the website to keep following you along in your process through the client acquisition.
That's really cool. It's amazing how such a little thing can make such a big difference in perception and what people think. It's
massive.
It's so easy to get caught up in those, not thinking about that when you're so busy, because contractors are wearing 25 hats and they're doing all these different things. And, so that's great advice. I like that a lot.
You brought up a very good point, Dan. They are wearing 25 hats. However, if you're not thinking about how you grow your business over a period of time, a very important hat has been left behind because you have these opportunities in your day to do so. And we don't have to remind you to take a shower. We don't need to remind you to shave. There are things that are at the core importance towards your business. And so many of you eliminate the marketing and or treat it like a necessary evil without realizing if you just left the business today and you went to some online MBA class, for 2 to 3 years of a degree of MBA, you're going to be spending so much of your time in marketing because the focus is, where do you plan on going? And that's the marketing side of your life. So if you're honestly not thinking about the long-term decision of where you're going, you're just working the business, you're going through the motions, and you may be making some decent money, but you're not changing the environment where over time you'll be making the money in the places you want to be with the people you want to be with. And trust me, we've all had a bad customer, including me. And we change when we're trying to manage bad customers. You change your attitude, you change your feelings, you change how you're even going to interact with your better customers for that matter. And so if you could keep on changing the environment to be around when you wake up from 9 to 5, or actually I should say from 5 to 8 or something like that to be more applicable to the industry, why are we waking up? And it's not just to make money. You could have a great lifestyle with a lot of great customers as long as those customers understand you and you set the stage of what it is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is end on number 5 with hiring free salespeople to bring leads to your door. Earlier in the presentation, I showed this landing page that showed in the contact section where he's saying we're now scheduling for fall 2020. Mm-hmm. Well, this particular one, I'm not going to play the video, but everybody who has never done a branding video where it's you saying hello to the world. This gentleman, I met him a few years ago. Name of the business is called Vintage Window Restoration, LLC. The reason why I leverage this particular example, it is literally the best individual branding video for a small company I've been able to help somebody create. And because his image is so crystal clear on welcome to his company, welcome to what we do, welcome to what we seek, he won't see anybody unless they've seen this video. And the reason is that it establishes a certain credibility that for him to be going into the mountains 45 minutes one way, an hour another way, to be meeting them for what he does and specializes, he wants to make sure they appreciate his expertise, his brand, his happy customers, and what makes him different, because he doesn't want to compete with the guy in a truck who's unlicensed, he can't be found type of thing. But he was doing that for too many years. And one of the things that you have to realize in this top discussion that says up on top, hiring free salespeople, is hiring yourself. Too many of you don't do it. There's nowhere that says, welcome to my ABC remodeling company. We are the blah, 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 whatever that may be. And I don't want to get into the permutations of that because that could take up a whole another hour. But if you go to Vintage Window Restoration LLC, don't know about his business, don't know about him, click on that video and then think to yourself, if I was waiting for a company to show up and it was this guy, what do you think? And I am promising you, I'm going to bet that a solid 9 out of 10, unless somebody just finds something that they just don't like about the guy because he smiles too much and he's too nice. But his expertise is second to none when it comes to branding himself. So you should be aware that every time somebody says to you, tell me about yourself, do you really actually have a video that you could just answer that at 2 a.m. on a Saturday? It should be accessible. That's a starting point. But now, after we get past this, then comes the Holy Grail, which is your customers. There are this company happens to be Crossbeam Builders. They brought their website live just in the about 6 to 8 months ago. They too are in that stage where they're backlogged by a few good months. Their ultimate goal is to make sure that a future customer has looked at their review page, not just to read, but to listen to what other people feel and have to say. And over time, many of you might say, and it happens, Brian, you don't understand, my clients are special or my situation is special. It's all a bunch of hogwash. I'll use that word just for videos, but I'd rather say other words. But the reality is all your customers are on Twitter. They're on Facebook making funny faces. They're doing everything on TikTok that you could imagine. And if you are taught a very small handful of tactics on how to get a customer to want to give you a review, you would be shocked about how they would want to be able to support you because they want to brag about whatever it is that you do or help fix and change their life. Using another example of the best that I have out of hundreds and hundreds of active accounts, this company called Build to Last, when you go to his review page, he is in an upper end remodeling area. He started years ago saying, my online toolbox, you don't understand, our customers are rich, they're secretive, they don't want to share. Once he learned he was wrong, he now, when you go to his website, you literally have an unbelievable number of reviews representing men, husbands and wife, women of different ages, just the men, older people. Every single thing that somebody could possibly relate to is on his website. And when he's grown exponentially over the years, not that his business wasn't going to head there anyway, but the customer validation available 24/7 is literally the best possible salesperson anybody's going to get in this particular age. And you must be moving in that direction in order to help get those inbound calls where people say, hey, I want to be that couple up on top. No, I want to be that couple on the bottom. No, I'm that guy on the bottom. They relate to what other people have to say about you because when they're talking about you, they're validating. When you're talking about you, you're selling.
That's cool.
What's good enough for the goose is good enough for the gander, including me. I break one rule, and I do. I could have a battle with people about this topic. There's marketing topics about what's the maximum number of reviews you should ever have on a particular page. A lot of people like to say I would never have more than 10 to 15 stacked on any particular page. Well, on the My Online Toolbox page, testimonials page, I have more than 120 reviews with more than a dozen videos. And here's the funny part. I fought with myself on why should I have this many reviews. But now, as of 2019, not 2020, but 2019, this one landing page has now become the most amount of time that people spend on our site. And it's just under 15 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And actually, what I found out after speaking to customers after the fact was the reason why they're sitting there is they're just scrolling and scrolling, looking for quote unquote contractors just like me. But because I deal with so many different types between, residential, commercial, remodeling, and new home building, and all the different areas, people tend to look for something that they tend to feel, yes, that company is just like me, or they're in a circumstance just like me. But by the time they get to this page, if they're there for 15 minutes and they didn't buy our entry level product, I really don't need to know them. I don't need to put them on a list because they're just, tire kicking for free information, but they're not becoming a customer. But my point is, I, up until 2018, never had video reviews myself, but I also wasn't able to capture them as easily. But now it's very easy for us to do.
Yeah.
I got a little bonus for your group because I had a feeling I could do this in about 45 minutes, Dan. So if you don't mind, I'm going to give them a few extra cool things to see. And this brings you personally, as well as what you do, into the equation. So I'm sure you're not going to complain.
Cool. I've got a few questions I want to ask you too. And
Okay.
you guys on the call, if you've got some questions for Brian, please feel free to type them in, and we'll try to address them.
Here is a company called Milton Construction, and they just did a new home build. And because they were using Chief Architect products, I don't think they used you, Dan, but I'm going to try to get a solicitation. But they used the product to design. They know that the image, of course, these images are important to help with the business process of actually estimating and the construction itself.
Right.
But when the job was done, if you look closely at the top, the entire website address is strategic towards the search engines, where it introduces Milton Construction. Then it says this service area that this project is taking place in is Appomattox, Virginia. And the topic itself within that location is a newly finished custom home. We take the images and not only just have those images being shared with the customer to get the job done, when he puts them on the website, they're all highly optimized for image optimization. So the search engines clearly understand if somebody starts typing in custom home builder in Appomattox, why would this company Milton appear? So my point is for you, Dan, you're the master. And let me say this the right way. There it is. Good. I didn't forget. Forgive me. I met Dan. I've known him now for 10 years, give or take, maybe even more. But we physically just met right before the crisis took place. And you were the last, I think, one of the last physical events I went to. But I want people to realize that when they see these images, there's going to be a set of you that already came through the Chief Expert channel. But then eventually there's going to be a set of you that comes through the My Online Toolbox channel. Mm-hmm. A lot of you will gravitate towards products that are focused on the design world. When you approach My Online Toolbox, we are going to be amplifying the issues of taking those images and making sure the search engines help find you using those images. But many of you might buy these products and may not necessarily really know, how to maximize their use. And that's where I just want to give a quick plug in for the people who come in after the fact and start thinking about design work and how to work with the chief architect product. And this guy, Dan Baumann of Chief Experts, is the way to go. I've known him for years. I just started meeting him physically, but this is your thing, Dan. So I just want to make sure that people on the back end who came here for marketing education that don't know you or what Chief Experts does for Chief Architect, they need to know to visit your site, and whatever he says is the answer, and you should live and die by it. Is that a good plug?
I appreciate that. Yep, that works.
Okay.
So now we got 11 minutes left. So
I'm going to be flying. We're in the bonus round.
Cool.
So here with the bonus round is using the Chief Architect images. This gentleman, when the project was done, we then created a detailed landing page that showed the design, shows him leveling the ground. Here he is putting in the foundation. Here's putting up the house, and then even ending with a customer review. Nice. The only thing missing is a video. That's coming soon because the home's still empty. But the point is, this guy has gravitated to a point where 2 years ago, he was a great business before he met me. He was already doing his thing locally, but what he was not doing was getting fresh people who didn't know him and his competitor to find him. So when I said initially, if you can remember in the beginning, only 30 minutes ago, how we were focusing in on enhancing your image before speaking to a prospect, we also left out an important point. When done correctly, the search engines will bring those people to you. So now when this is fresh, when this gentleman runs a ranking report for the main things he cares about in the town of Appomattox, kitchen remodeling, bathroom remodeling, home additions, new decks, home builder, he's ranking between page 1 and page 2 on everything he does in the key target area he wants to be found. So when he picks up the phone or gets an email, this quality lead comes to them saying, we would like to get married. And it's a perfect opportunity. So when he's picking up the phone and responding, the right people are finding him, and he's presenting the right image when that person finds him. So then, speaking of customer reviews, I needed permission because I wanted to make sure he was comfortable with me sharing those statistics. And coincidentally, Dan, he is a joint client with Michael Stone, so I didn't think you would get mad about this particular email. But the reference that he gave me was, Brian, that'll be fine to use this information on this presentation. We're proud and grateful that we had that we're the recipients of Michael, which is Michael Stone's and Devin Stone's Markup and Profit, and our teaching. And the most important thing on why anybody cared to listen to me for an hour, our phone has been ringing off the hook, both direct phone calls and online inquiries. Booyah! I did it. That's a great way to end because it's fresh off the press. And now what I want to do is remind people with their strategy. Your website, SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's not too difficult. All intermixes with Google My Business, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I want you to be aware before I sign off to be careful to who you're listening to, especially in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Contractors are 85 to 90% not marketing correctly. The problem is there's too many consultants that see this out there, and I took out the word I wanted to have there, but they believe their own blank. They don't differentiate themselves. They make claims that they don't necessarily can prove, but because you're a contractor, you inadvertently are in a zone that you're susceptible to being sold on almost anything. And it's not the people selling you their fault. They grew up in an age where you could almost do anything online and show success, but we're now in a different arena where some of the consultants out there have never, ever been in this current environment. So be careful because they're learning how to navigate only 1 foot ahead of you. And when I say this is what I've been doing, and this is how difficult it's been with me with the marketing world. I started posting educational about pausing your marketing unless, freeze SEO unless, making sure that you're not just going into chat because it sounds good and you're avoiding the phone. So what I started to do was talk about just now, before I called you 4 hours ago, on the top of the CNN homepage, experts are urging the U.S. to shut down and start over. Mm-hmm. Yes, it looks scary. Let's assume it's going to happen. Let's not realize that there's a lot of uncertainty here, but never forget, we're all in the same boat. So when everybody starts to readjust, I want you to remember, and this is where I started a few weeks ago, this is real, this picture. It happened just a few years ago. Look at the waves, look at the people. This is one of the most highly photographed stories of a tsunami, but we're in one right now. It's an economic tsunami. Pay attention to the woman on the right. Pay attention to the woman on the left that has her hands up looking out into the distance, but definitely pay attention to the family that's running. Yeah. This picture was taken with a guy walking from right to left, and as he did, now he walked further, and look, the woman who was way over there on the left, think about the distance that it took for her to have that woman now running forward. Look at the boats. Those boats were still further enough away that now in this next picture, we turn around. Look how close those boats are now, and they turned around to face it because if they didn't, it was game over. Yeah. Those waves were 6 to 10 feet each, and look at the people. And I don't want to get into what happened next. That's a whole long story. Yeah. But I want people to think. Right now, where are you going to be when this changes? I want everyone to realize the wave is coming and it's a time to pause and think where you're going to be in 2021 to 2025. We don't stop ever thinking about growing your company with quality leads. And I want to give Dan's group an offer that they can't refuse. People know us one of three ways: free education, such as this and all of our stuff on Facebook and YouTube and so forth. People know the My Online Toolbox brand with both basic and advanced education. Very inexpensive. It just requires your time. Basic education, $379. Advanced education, $479. For people that are listening in, if you sign up to the basic education for $379 today, you'll get the advanced education for free. So invest $379 for an award-winning product and get the advanced product for free that costs more money. If anyone here needs to really talk about a real marketing plan, time to start fresh, let's not sit in the past anymore, please reach out to me, because it's an independent conversation. It takes up way too much time, but it doesn't matter. I would still guide you to, at a minimum, take up me on the basic education offer for $379. You get the advanced class for $479 for free. And if you do become a consulting client, I'll just wipe out the $379 and apply it to whatever we do going forward. Please.
So Brian, real quickly, so everybody knows what he's talking about. Brian, you have an online series of training that you've done, that you have a basic training and then a more advanced training on all this stuff. So
that is correct.
That's
extensive. It's massively extensive.
What's massively expensive?
The training.
Oh.
Yeah, the basic class. If you think about what you think you've learned in 1 hour with me talking fast. Yeah. Now imagine what made us win an award, where it's kind of like Rosetta Stone for languages, but instead it's bringing contractors through the basics of marketing with real live examples on point by point basis, so people could really have a visual of what they're learning. And then the advanced class has to do with everything external to the website, such as Facebook, YouTube, Google My Business, and so forth.
Yeah.
For anybody who wants more free stuff on a weekly basis, please like us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel, or both. Every single week we post one quick tip that is accumulation of everything we've done the previous week. And it seems to be the most popular quick reminder topic that goes on. And I'd love to continue always, whether you become a customer or not is irrelevant. I still want to always give you a quick tip just to keep your marketing going along. This is My Online Toolbox. I'm thanking everybody for their time. Never forget to start planning yesterday for next year's marketing and profits. And I hope everybody is healthy through the rest of the year and has a great 2021. And Dan, I hope I did it with 3 minutes to spare.
No, you're good to go, man. So again, bit.ly/online toolbox. That'll take you right to that page where Brian has the training. The basic is $379. Purchase that and you'll get the advanced for free. So cool, Brian. You know, the one thing I wanted to point out as I'm listening to you go over all this information is, you know, in this day and age, so many people I talk to are really busy, man. They're really busy. Why do you want to do training when you're really busy? You know, why don't you just wait till it's a little slower? A little late then, isn't it? That's kind of your tsunami picture there, right?
Yeah.
By then you're done. The waves got you. You're toast.
Yes.
So
and for anybody who's listening to this, it's the same thing with Dan on what he's doing with his products. So many people. Your advantage is 80%, if not more, of the industry doesn't do marketing. So right there, that knowledge, if you just take a step back and realize you could separate yourself simply by taking an interest in the first step of Business 101 and just joining the rest of the world, you'll be amazed on why you could just be a year or two from now getting these opportunities that are just passing you by because you've never opened up the store to say, here I am, please come to me.
So, and again, people are really busy, so they're feeling that overwhelm. They're like, oh, I got so much to do. I can't do marketing right now. You got to somehow figure out how to do it, because you know, if your website's not up to snuff, boy, when the wave hits, you want to be there. So, Brian, I think that just about does it for us. Again, everybody go to bit.ly/online toolbox, and you can learn more about Brian's training. Brian, thank you so much for being here. That was very informative. It's, you know, it's simple things that you're talking about. You know, the testimonials that people do. It's, again, you look at it, it's like, oh, overwhelming. I can't get all those testimonials. Well, guess what? They got them one at a time, didn't they? And then over time, you do one this month, you do one this month, you do one this month. Next thing you know, you got a dozen testimonials. That's 12 more than you had last year. And then you keep adding to that. So it's not a big deal. So you just got to make that commitment and do it. So whatever you can do, guys, get it done. So this marketing is so important, especially with what's coming down the pike. I think it's good now. We don't know what it's going to be like a year from now. So you got to plan for the worst and hope for the best. And I think that's what we're all after right now. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Brian, you get the last word. What do you got to say?
I just wish everybody health first. Number one, that's the most important, and be safe. And number two, just realize we all, regardless of size, you could be a new startup here that you just left the company for whatever reason, and now you're thinking how to get started. Wonderful. I've done it 4 times over a 30-year period, and it's easy to get ahead, to get yourself started. If you're an established company and you've been riding a beautiful wave, don't let that feeling of what you've done in the past mean that it automatically goes through to a future prospect. Take a moment and realize, yes, it might be 3 months, it could be 6 months, but if we were working with you and guiding you, when 2021 hits, you will be amazed about how when next summer comes in, how you're going to be spending more time on blocking the types of leads because you only want quality going forward. And then eventually with that quality comes happiness and more money, and the wheel goes round and round.
Life is perfect. So
yeah, it is. It really is. It's that opportunistic, Dan. And listen, it was great seeing you a few months ago. I'm glad I got that real last physical picture. I don't know if we're going to get them anymore for a while, right?
A while, but we're good. So thanks, Brian. Time to go. You guys, everybody be good. Stay safe.
Okay, bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye now.